Welcome. Now, keep in mind is that this over here is an airsoft gun from a build based off of the video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, based off of the M4 carbine in the game. Also, keep in mind of any sort of gunfire or wind you may hear in the background. That's from multiplayer video game footage. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the main program. Welcome to the show, and we can't call this glow so bright without some weird shenanigans going on. So we have a down defense upper over here with, at least it's not in the most forward position, but a down defense upper, res 2 upper, on front sight post base with an EOTech on it. So let me go from muzzle to butt over what this build is. So we have a Surefire War Comp pinned and welded to a 14.5 inch hammer forged Daniel Defense upper group. Barrel, we have ourselves a res 2 handguard, which is pretty neat and pretty nice. And you can even detach a lower bit of the handguard to attach an underslung accessory like a M26 shotgun or a M203 underslung grenade launcher. Pretty neat and cool, really solid. Can be great for mounting a laser box to it for night fishing use. Now we have an EOTech, an EXPS2, green reticle one. Pretty weird. So you have the drawbacks of it taking up a lot of battery, a green reticle that in this particular environment seems to blend in with many objects to me. I don't like it. High battery draw and no sorts of sights on it. So if the battery dies, then this upper isn't very useful. Generic full auto profile bolt carrier group, and we have a Arrow M4E1 lower receiver group, Magpul K2 grip, SL buttstock. And what's strange is that we have a QD rear butt plate, QD attachments on the stock, but nothing up front. We have just this Magpul sling attachment for the MS3 hook or the MS1 hook. This is a very strange build. What's also strange is that we have a non-standard safety. So instead of an AR-15 or M4, which we have a throw lever, save semi, and for the military versions automatic, this one's a push button cross bolt sort of safety. That is strange. So let's go try it out. Okay, let's go load one 30-round magazine. We have a steel target set up at about 60 yards away or so, so we have good standoff distance for a 5.56 caliber load. Got this rifle's chambered in. Let's try it out. Okay, now let's see what other selectors is. So we have a fully right selector position. We have a selector position fully on the left, which is safe. Now what if we put the fire position center, the selector position over in the center? That's pretty cool. And the brake really helps the control, but it really rattles my teeth. And we have a failure to feed. Doesn't pick up the magazine. There we go. So, what happened? We have a very basic lower receiver group, no auto sear, no third hull, nothing like that. Well, let me go explain that to you. Hoffman Super Safety is designed by Tim Hoffman of Hoffman Tactical. It is an open source 3D printed design that has been adapted to various different forms, including, say, being done through a professional machine shop using metallic components. So this isn't an automatic firearm. No third hole, nothing like that. This is a faster way to shoot semi-automatically. So, let's see if it's being clear. It is. This has 3 different positions. On the rightmost position, it is in semi-automatic. In the leftmost position, it is semi-automatic. So kind of like a reverse crossbolt safety, like that found in, say, a Remington H70 shotgun or other traditional hunting rifles. But there is one sort of interesting feature, is that when it's put into an intermediate position, there is basically forcing the trigger to move forward as soon as the bolt cycles forward. Now, how does that work? Well, the video by Hoffman Tactical, link in the video description, provides a more articulate and thorough way to explain what the engineering is behind it. So, pull the trigger to the rear. If the safety is a bit wonky, so hammer goes forward. Then, as soon as the bolt moves rearward, look at my index finger. It is forced in a forward position. So then, as soon as the bolt goes forward, then in a very, very, very minuscule delay, I do another distinct trigger squeeze to the rear. So not automatic. Automatic fire, according to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, they actually follow their own definitions properly, is that more than one round is fired for a continuous trigger pull. Yet this isn't a fully continuous trigger pull. Each motion that the trigger is made to the rear is a distinct trigger squeeze. So bolt goes rear, the trigger goes forward, same with the index finger. Trigger goes back as soon as the bolt goes forward. Hammer drops. This process cycle repeats itself. So, I just pulled the trigger again. And now the trigger is forward, ready to be squeezed again. So, how this is accomplished, I'm not the type of person to explain it fully. However, I can tell you about my own observations with this particular device over here. One is that for an AR-15, the gassing needs to be perfect. If it's undergassed, it won't cycle. If it's overgassed, it wouldn't work. Sure, it can still fire in semi-automatic mode, yet for this Hoffman Super mode, the safety mode, you need to have this system be set up perfectly for gassing. For a carbine length barrel at a 14.5 inch length, the perfect buffer to be putting in the rearward position would be that of an H2 buffer. So when I was doing diagnosis on this, turns out it had a cheap standard buffer and an out-of-spec spring on it, and I couldn't even get the thing to cycle outside of semi-automatic mode. But with this, if properly gassed, is a pretty neat thing. Other observations I have with firearms using this particular trigger device or particular type of safety is that for 9mm based AR-15s that have a fixed ejector, it is more likely for cartridges to get stuck underneath the fixed ejector. So keep that in mind. And while this can be made using 3D printed materials, this metallic one is a lot more durable. Other than that, compared to, like, say, bump stocks, binary triggers, and other options out there, I'd say this is a pretty good step in development. The safety is a bit janky, where I feel like 4 distinct positions, and if the bolt is towards the rearward position, the safety doesn't work at all, which makes sense given its own design. And when disassembling it, when the lever is in a rearward position, it prevents the rear locking lug of the lower receiver from interfacing with the lower receiver. So when reassembling it for maintenance, the lever needs to be forward, and with gravity, the whole entire lower receiver and assembly needs to be tilted downwards, nose down. Learned that? This is a lot of fun. And I'm gonna go load another magazine. I'll be right back. All right, got another magazine. Let's put it in the rifle. Not bad for 50 yards. Well, that's a lot of fun. And it's quite absurd that, I mean, I'm glad that a device like this exists, but we should live in a world where this device shouldn't exist in the first place and instead have the NFA be non-existent or repealed altogether. Like, does it actually do anything to keep gangsters out of Chicago from having switches and causing problems for the public? No. I mean, all this stuff just makes it more of a headache for the prepared citizen and the American in general. And for having something that is, you know, a bit worse than what the military has, it doesn't make sense at all. And I'm still able to have like controlled burst and controlled pairs of fast fire semi-automatically with a firearm like this. So I greatly applaud Hoffman Tactical for having this design out there, but it's a shame that we got to this point in the first place where we have to deal with legal workarounds and then the ATF would just, you know, break their own laws and break their own rules. So, if you do enjoy this video on the Hoffman Tactical Super Safety, give it a like. If you don't, give it a dislike. Comment down below on what you think. Read the video description. And as always, check out, you know, like if you want to support me financially, check out my Ko-fi. Or the best way to provide support for this channel is to share, subscribe, and watch. This video on the Hoffman Tactical Super Safety is brought to you by Glow So Bright. Thank you very much for watching.